Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. This is a special double shot edition tonight. I am, of course, your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good Saturday night. Um, we have an additional person on the panel. I will introduce everybody. We have Mr. Bill Schuster. We have his son, Neal. We also have Mr. Ryan Gavalier tonight. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a fun episode. And comments in the comment section are very much welcome. We are going to be talking about this little piece of art here. Forgive the glare. Can never get away from the fucking glare. There we go. Roger Waters, Dark Side of the Moon, Redux or Redo, however you want to call it. Just a bit about this album. This album, for a lot of people, is a classic. The original released in March of 73, March 1st, I believe, of 73. The information for this version of the album came out around February of 2023. It was released on October the 2nd. No, sorry, October the 7th of 2023 through Cooking Vinyl Music. Sony Records wouldn't even touch this. We won't go there yet. Everyone has listened to the album. There's been quite a different views on this album, very polarizing opinions on this album. I will pass this off to Mr. Bill Schuster to go first to give his opinion of this album.
No pressure. All
No
right.
pressure. So this is how we're going to do it. It's going to be Bill, Neal, and then Ryan, and I'll go last because being raised right by my mother, I let people go first. So go ahead, Bill.
All right. My mother's probably going to be watching when this airs, so I won't say anything about my mother. Hi, Mom.
Cool. Cool.
Um, all right. I'm going to consult my notes here, very obviously, because yeah. All right. I'm obviously a huge fan of the original Dark Side. We did our Pink Floyd ranking a few weeks back, and it was
Mm-hmm.
my easy number one choice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's an album that never gets old. I've listened to a ton of covers of the album, various like an a cappella version by Voices on the Dark Side, and of course the Easy Star All Star reggae version, Dub Side of the Moon, among many others. So I'm used to dealing with lots of covers of the entire album,
Mm-hmm.
and I always enjoy them when they change things up. So to me, the idea that Roger was going to do something different here was a good thing to me. Um, I will say it gets better with every listen. At first, yeah, it was okay. The second time, it did put me to sleep. I was listening late at night with headphones, to be fair.
I
Today
remember the
I
email.
listened. Yeah, today I actually had it playing loud in here in the music room and was able to concentrate on it more and be more awake. And I've come to look at this not as a replacement album, but more it's a fond remembrance and an update by someone who has gained a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and life experience. So it's an entirely different take. It's I can do, I guess, a quick track by track here. Speak to Me. We start off with, of course, the lyrics to Free For from Obscured by Clouds. Mm-hmm. The memories of a man in his old age are the deeds of a man in his prime. It's really cool how he went back and got that lyric that brings it full circle. Um, Sorry, boys. We just had the dogs bust down the door. Gonna
No
have to call
problem.
security for a moment.
No
Apparently, it
problem.
wasn't closed all the way.
No problem. And this
He
house,
heard us talking about Pink Floyd and said, "What dogs? Woo!"
there you go. There you go. No, no problem.
All right. Yeah. At any rate, yeah, that the free four lyrics work very well here with the idea of Roger reflecting back on his life and on his younger self, on the man who wrote the lyrics to the original Dark Side 50 years prior. Um, the music is kind of ominous and ambient for the most part there. Breathe, we get into some speak singing basically which happens a lot on this album. Lots of nice acoustic guitar. On the Run is one of the first examples how Roger is getting away from his traditional everything but the kitchen sink with sound effects. And yeah, there are very few on here compared to the original or compared to most of Roger's solo albums, which I thought was pretty interesting. He really wants to concentrate on the words.
Bless you.
Um,
Thank you.
it's a stark, tense, jittery background music as Roger narrates a disturbing dream of a battle between good and evil. The crashing train sound in the midst of this did make me jump today. I forgot it was in there and it got me. That was one of the exceptions where there was a sound effect thrown in and it was quite effective.
Yeah.
I kind of like the story he's telling of his dream. I'm a big fan of pros and cons of hitchhiking, so I'm entertained by Roger Waters' dream-based lyrics, obviously, as that whole album was based on his dream. So,
yeah.
Time got relaxed, weary singing. So lots of credited instruments, yet there is space for everything. It doesn't sound cluttered. I was surprised actually when I looked at the credits and saw how many instruments were on here because it doesn't sound like that many instruments.
I
would
agree.
expect like some
I agree.
big band jazz thing almost. And no alarm clocks. Pretty important distinction from the original. Yeah. The Great Gig in the Sky. All right. Claire Torrey. You can't replace Claire Torrey. That's perfection. That's so he didn't try. And I think that was a wise decision. Mm-hmm. He went ahead and did Another Story instead. He kept the basic Rick Wright melody, which is nice, but he told a story about apparently a friend of his, poet David Hall, mm-hmm. about his dying of cancer and the aftermath. And mm-hmm. I wasn't so sure about it at first, but looking at my view of the album now as a reflection back on life and as a facing of mortality and an acceptance of it, I think it works well within the context here. Mm-hmm. How it will play out after listening to it another 10 times, I don't know. It might be too much by then. We'll see. Money said Roger sounds deliberately gruff and creepy. And he adds his classic Roger style evocative lyrics about a deal with the devil in the middle of the song. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of interesting. It fits so well with the theme of money and greed there. Us and Them, again, preserves Rick's original melody, which is nice. It doesn't really go any place different musically. I feel like the vocals his vocals sound very warm on this for some reason, and very just resigned to the world that those lyrics describe. But it's not an angry type of thing like the young Roger. It's more just an acceptance. And I don't know, I almost feel like he's thinking, hey, things might actually have room to get better. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I mean, we all have our interpretations of these things, but Any Color You Like, of course, had no lyrics on the original. He did add some lyrics here. The music pretty much without sound effects and such echoes the original nicely. Mm-hmm. Brain Damage and Eclipse. I think there was an effective use of sport vocals from, pardon my attempt at pronouncing her name, Asnev Korkajian. I have no idea if that's proper pronunciation, but
you did better than me.
She kind of helps Roger fill out the vocals in the choruses in particular, and it works well. And to me, I said Roger sounds like someone who has confronted and defeated the lunatic in his head. The young Roger was still grappling with it, I think, but this Roger knows who he is. Mm-hmm. And he's battled his demons, and he is who he is and who he's going to be. You know, he's 1 foot in the grave, basically, and he's okay with it. Um, and that's why I say Eclipse sounds like the sound of someone at peace with mortality. And it sounds almost to me like he's smiling as he sings Eclipse here. Like it's okay. He's not afraid of death. He's lived a good long life, and he's ready.
Almost like he's come out the other side and he's okay with what's going to happen next.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. I say as I'm thinking, him being older, he probably feels the impact of some of his own lyrics on a deeper level than he did writing them as what a 20 something. Um, and someone who is aging myself, of course, and watching my parents age, they're not a lot younger than Roger. Um, this older, reflective Roger really resonates with me in a way that it wouldn't have with my younger self. So I'm kind of curious to see what the two young guys have to say on some of these concepts here, or if they're picking up on any of that,
I was
confronting
going to
what.
say, what about me? But you and I are only 2 years apart. So
Yeah,
I'll shut my mouth on that.
I'm the
Okay.
oldest, but not by much. But yeah, so I don't know that I necessarily have a number to rank it on a 10 scale or anything like that yet. I haven't had enough time with it to really see where it's going to sit, but the few times I've listened to it, like I said, I've enjoyed it more each time. I've picked up different things, and it'll never be a replacement for the original, and it's not designed to be. So when
Okay.
I'm in the mood for just kicking back and yeah, in investing myself in that vibe, it's yeah, it'll be good. I like it. It's
Okay.
not yeah.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask Neal and Ryan this. Do you think that maybe he has given the audience maybe too much to digest sonically?
On this particular album,
Yeah, like
oh,
maybe.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I think he mostly keeps the instrumentation fairly simple.
No, but in terms of the narration, in terms
Okay.
of the
Um,
narration of the a man looking back on his life, and it's a two-part question. A, do you think that maybe he is giving them too much to digest? And B, has he indeed whizzed on a Picasso?
well, the has he whizzed on a Picasso? No, because the Picasso is still there.
Okay.
This is a separate work based on that Picasso. Um,
Okay.
as far as the narration, I wasn't so sure about it at first, but anytime I can get new Roger Waters lyrics, which are, you know, Blue Moon type lyrics, you don't see them very often. I'm happy to get what I can, and I'm coming around to them. I'm seeing their place in the overall theme of the album, and I see why each of them is there and how they relate now.
Oh,
So
okay.
does that answer your question?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And a few others too. it's okay. It's okay. Neal, what's your view on it?
I think I should preface it with saying at least I think it would have been better if he took some of the ideas he had and maybe attached them to a different name. I with the lyrics at least, I do understand a lot of where he's coming from as far as the reflective part of it, especially with the fact that it's a good 50 years from the time that he wrote them. He
Mm-hmm.
probably was understanding them very differently from what he was at a different time in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think it becomes more apparent throughout the different monologuing narration as well. He kind of drops you more of what he's hinting at and what he's getting at essentially. But I also think that it feels weird to have the dark side songs thrown in between them. I like what he's done with them. They're interesting arrangements and they're all different musically. It's actually enjoyable enough to listen to because it is different. But I think it would have been better if he took these ideas and just created something new with it. Because I think he was onto something really good with it, especially from just the perspective of a man nearing his death, essentially, and accepting the fact that he is. He could have created something reflective, but also acceptive and somber, essentially. Just kind of okay with the fact that he's at that point in his life.
Do you just another quick question then? Do you think that this album is accessible to people, or is it sort of a bit of a niche in terms of?
I think it's accessible to Floyd fans at least.
Mm,
So I think most of them are at least going to be able to listen to it. They're kind
mm,
of out there as far as music goes anyway. So I don't
mm,
think they'll be too upset about too much of it, but
mm.
I don't think there'll be many repeat listens as well. Uh, some of the music falls flat for me, although I do find the instrumentals to be mostly engaging, especially as far as the keys go and any type of electronics or lack thereof go. When you have a record where you have somebody like Rick Wright, he shows you what he does.
Yeah,
It's just he was fantastic on the original record. I love what's done here. I think it actually fits the arrangements with what he's trying to do, but with it being Dark Side, I still kind of find it weird not having that there.
I agree. I agree. Okay, let me ask you, do you think that he has given maybe the audience maybe too much to sonically digest with this new recording?
I
Um,
think it may be a bit too much for some people. Uh, if you go into it with the right type of mindset or actually sitting down, just listening to what he's saying
mhm,
and come back to it once or twice, I think it'll grow on you and you'll understand more of what he's talking about.
mhm,
But if you're not in it for what he's saying and in it for what he's actually written, then I don't think you're going to revisit it enough to actually find the meaning in those words. A bunch of it will probably just pass you by because you're not realizing the connections or the nuance between what he's written.
mhm. Okay. Okay. And part two, has he pissed on a Picasso? And they say, whiz before I say piss now. Has he pissed on a Picasso? I mean, like, really, because
I
the
think
the only reason why I say that, and then I'll shut up, is I've been reading the reviews of it. And again, reviews are reviews, right? Everyone's got an opinion. But the reviews, from what I'm reading, are universally panning the album, like what is he doing, kind of thing. Like, like he's it's not getting good reviews. Let's put it that way. So my question to you is: has he indeed pissed on a Picasso? Like,
I wouldn't say so. I think it's weird to me that he did use the name, partially just because of the instrumental tracks, to be honest. Because
mm-hmm,
as far as
mm-hmm,
lyrics go, I do understand why he revisited it. It makes a lot of sense, especially with the context of the way he's designed this new record. That being said, it was such an instrumental heavy record originally that I find it kind of strange that not being there.
yeah, okay,
That's my only real gripe about him using the name. I don't think he's necessarily tarnished anything, but it does stand out a little and not necessarily in the best of ways.
okay. There's a question I'm going to ask uh, three of you at the very end, but we'll go over to Ryan. Yeah, and what do you think of the album? I know that look on your face. So,
Well, um, I don't know. It's honestly like it's very, very puzzling. I'm gonna say that.
it's
Um, I just I don't know. Like I just don't think it needed to be done. Um, I don't think that any of these like lyrics that he added, in my opinion, which I know will differ from everybody else, I don't think they added anything to the songs. I think they just lessened them, in my opinion. I mean, I think part of what made Dark Side of the Moon great at first was the space and those instrumental passages and hearing him just ramble on about shit over over great instrumentals. It just
Don't hold
doesn't really
back.
do anything for me. That's it, except for like kind of annoy me. Like I don't know, by like the 30th Tolkien reference, I just started to get a little bored. I think part of it is I actually do like some of the like actual arrangements to this. I think some of the stripped down, kind of more acoustic versions of the songs is cool, but it's ruined by him talking over them. It's like, I don't know, it's like if I bought a DVD to a movie I really love and the only option is to have the commentary over it. Like, that's what it feels like to me. And like, I'd rather have the movie, like, and I mean, before you ask me, I don't think he pissed on a Picasso because, to be honest, Dark Side's still the greatest, one of the greatest albums of all time. This isn't. This is a novelty. Um, I'm. I mean, I might revisit it again, but I probably won't. I'm not really like a huge fan of Roger's solo. To be honest, I think he's all right, but like I think that Pink Floyd was kind of where he peaked, and I think what I think that doing this, all right, I'll speak about some positives. I don't want this to be an entirely negative review because even though I
Speak your mind.
overall didn't really love this album, to be honest, I do think there was some positives. First of all, Great Gig in the Sky. I don't really care about the stories he was telling and stuff, but one thing I did think was interesting, because I was curious what they were going to do, obviously, because there wasn't going to be any belting vocals or anything. I
Mm,
thought his little like oohs and stuff, I thought that was kind of cool. Um,
okay.
I don't know. I thought it was a more subtle approach to the song. I thought it gave the arrangements a little bit of space to breathe. Rather than having like a really powerful vocal performance over it. I thought that was kind of cool. It gave it a little bit more of a contemporary sound to fits well in like the kind of like indie music scene. Um, I thought that, like I said, I like the keyboards on this version. I mean, they weren't Rick Wright. I'm not going to pretend they were by any means, but
Hmm.
I thought they had a cool sound. Like I said, the guitar, I like some of the acoustic sounds and stuff. I liked how it was just very subtle musically.
Hmm.
Um, and I can appreciate that. Like I don't need it to be a carbon copy of the original album. I like some of the different approaches that the music took. Um, there was moments vocally that I was okay with. Like I thought Money was all right. I didn't love it, but I thought that like kind of Tom Waitsy approach he took to the vocals was decent. Um,
Okay.
I I didn't really care too much for like Speak to Me. I know he was using Free For, which is a good song. I just didn't really like adding it at the beginning of this. It just felt kind of, I don't know if corny is the right word, but that's what I kind of felt. And that's what I kind of felt a lot of the time when he was telling the stories and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, it just felt like it was trying to be a lot deeper than it actually was. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
yeah, I wasn't impressed with the whole storytelling thing. I mean, I'm not against talking about reflective stuff. I just don't know why it had to be on this album. It's like, I mean, you have all these talented musicians together. Just write a few new songs and like put your lyrics on. Like, I think with the history that Pink Floyd's had and him needing to have the creative control and his inflated ego and stuff, I just
Yeah.
think him having to add his little commentary to this album that was very much a group effort between David Gilmour, Nick Mason, Rick Wright, Roger Waters. Now it has to be the Roger Waters Dark Side of the Moon. It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a replacement, obviously, but it doesn't really sit too well with me personally. But that's just my opinion. I think it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. Um I think there's some positive elements to it. Like I said, some of the vocals are all right. Um I think musically it was decent at times, but his storytelling thing just didn't work for me um on this album. And I don't know if I had to rate it based off of what I've heard,
Mhm.
I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. Um, it's very much like I'm not positive about it, but also I would be an asshole if I said it's like completely terrible because it's not either. It's not for me.
Okay, so you gave Queen's Hot Space a 10 out of 10. You gave this album a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, no, that's fine. It's fair. Do you think, okay, you answered the pissing on a Picasso. Do you think that maybe he gave the audience too much to sonically digest, like to listen to all at once?
No, I just think he gave me something that was unnecessary. I don't think it was too much. I
Okay.
mean, I think that the only thing I would say to that is the only thing, it's not too much to digest, but I think there is something about space, something about letting things breathe. I mean, fuck, one of the songs is called Breathe.
Mm,
Like, and when he didn't
okay.
give any of
Okay.
the music room to breathe, like he just had to keep rambling on. It's like,
Yes, sir.
dude, just shut up and let people play for like a couple minutes. Like, it just, so I think that would be my complaint is that he just kept talking and talking and talking. It's like we get it, dude. We get it. And I
Okay.
And
just
ironically, the Pink Floyd song "Keep Talking" was post Roger Waters. Just throwing that out there.
yeah.
Okay. All right. No, that's fair. Hmm. Okay, my opinion on this. Well, um, when I first heard that this was coming out, I thought, what the hell is he doing? Um, and then he was stating in interviews as far back as February that this was his project. He said in an interview, and I'm paraphrasing, but he did say, let's get something straight. Yes, the band contributed, but it was my idea. The lyrics were mine. I wrote the lyrics. It was my album. They basically helped me out. When I read that, I thought, oh, you son of a bitch. I thought, your ego is so bloody big at this point in time that, like, why even bother talking to you about it? Like, there's no reasoning with you. Like, to me, the original was a band effort. It was a cohesive band effort. Uh, the Great Gig in the Sky, Richard Wright, hello, yes, that was him. Okay, no way around it. Okay, to say that Gilmore and Wright and Mason did nothing but just be his backing band, that pissed me off big time. Like major. I've seen Roger Waters in concert 3 times over the years, like recently. He's good. He is really good. And he can be humble. But at this point, he was being the biggest asshole on the planet. And the fact that he dialed back his comments a month later, saying, "Oh no, Dave did some good guitar soloing
And good singing.
and singing."
Most of the singing.
Exactly. And Rick did some good keyboards, and Nick contributed as well. Too little, too late. I'm sorry, and it tinged my view on the album. I think that yes, it can exist, obviously separate from the original. There is no replacing the original. I think it was ambitious of him to do this project and to take on um, the views of a man that is coming to the end of his life, 80 years old, and reflecting back on all he's done. I think he's trying to say, have we learned from anything that we've done over our lifetime, or have we still lost the plot? Are we back on track? Have we learned anything? Um, I think that for me, it's a very slow paced album. Yes, the instrumentation is stripped down. It's very slow. It's I don't know that his vocals don't there's no inflection in his vocal approach. There's no high and lows, right? It's all one level, monotone, very morose, kind of dark. Over 47 minutes for me, it's a bit much to take. You know what I mean? Um, I, I do applaud his tenacity to get it done and get it out there. The execution, though, leaves me a bit cold in listening to it. I was reading that on the vinyl copy there is a fourth side, because the album takes up 3 sides of the album of vinyl. The fourth side is a 12-minute plus untitled track, an original composition, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I found this on YouTube to listen to it. It's 12 minutes plus of him sitting there outside with the birds chirping and talking to people and talking to a friend beside him. And, I'm surprised he didn't go to the bathroom and flush the toilet. You know what I mean? It's
Maybe
like,
$20 extra for this track.
exactly. It's like I'm paying $36.95 for what? I don't fucking think so. I'm sorry. I mean,
Alan Psychedelic Breakfast Part 2.
exactly. I mean, and it could have fit on this. This is only 47 minutes. It could have fit on the actual CD. You know what I mean? I mean, I'd rather hear him burp throughout the entire, like 12 minutes or something, or fart, or do something that would constitute a living, breathing human being. Yes, you're 80 years old. Yes, you're reflecting on your life. I'm 53. I'm reflecting on my life every fucking day. I'm sorry. I mean, being 80 years old or being 56 or being 42 doesn't mean that, like your life experiences, yes, you've had more life experience at 80 if you get to be that age. But it there are some points in this album where it just seems to be very self-indulgent, right? I mean, it's like, yes, there is some beautiful instrumentation, and yes, he does stick to the arrangements of the original tracks, but the spoken word passages over the instrumental pieces are like, again, I mean, like fuck, you know what I mean? Like mother, like come on, like it's a lot to take in. I mean, I don't think he was on a Picasso, because again, this is his interpretation. I mean, back up a sec. he gave the album to Nick Mason because he and David Gilmour are not speaking anymore. They're both persona non grata. They're not even thinking along the same lines on anything. And Nick Mason has called this a masterpiece. Really? Like, I'm sorry. He's called it a masterpiece. I don't agree with that, but you know what? He worked on the original. He's got his opinion to it. Um, do I think that he's given a lot of the fans a lot to sonically digest? Yes, I do. I think that he's given the fans maybe a little bit too much. I think he comes across as being a little preachy at times. Um, yes, everyone's lost the plot in life. We've all done that. Governments have done that. Businesses have done that. But you know what? We don't put it on CD and we don't bore people with it for like 47 minutes at a time. Okay. I'm sorry. It's a lot to take in. And it's at times it's preaching to people. It's too much. So for me. So that is my opinion, you know. And for the record, a little footnote. It's when it was released, I think it's number 142 on the US charts. Okay. So it is not done well. I mean, albums are not obviously not based on their, how good they are is not based on the charts. But when you look at the charts and when you look at the reviews, this just seems to for me to be just someone that has chosen to do some self-indulgent stuff. Um, and he really does not care whether or not the fans go with him for the ride or not. Uh, in some cases, the car lost all four wheels on this shit. I'm sorry. Okay, he's standing on the side of the road. Can someone come get me here? I'm not moving. So I mean, anyways, that's my humble opinion on this album. I mean, it's not. It could have been a lot more. I mean, let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. Could he have maybe had swallowed a bit of his pride and asked the other two, Gilmore and Mason, to contribute?
Could have turned out
I don't know.
interesting.
What's up?
Could have turned out interesting if he did. I don't know if they could have actually buried the hatchet to make it happen, but
in each other.
I do think it would have been better than what he came up with, at least. It would have still been weird because obviously that album in particular was super Rick Wright heavy. So you don't have him contributing to it, then I'm not quite sure that you get the same result, but I do think it would have been better than what was given.
I Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and this is like kind of gonna go against what I said, but I feel like if they would have got David and Nick, and it would just be like, I just feel like it would be too close to trying to recreate the album. With it being just Roger's
Fair.
project, it's like, okay, he's interpreting it. If they would have brought 3 out of 4 members of the band in to do it again, I just think that'd be a little, I think that would even be a little bit even more in worse taste. I think, honestly, my biggest thing that I think he could have done better is try. Um, I think that this, to me, this
Okay.
comes across as extremely lazy. He had that lockdown sessions like a year or two ago, whatever that was.
Yeah, a year
I
ago.
feel like
Yeah.
this is just him capitalizing on that. Like, oh, I could recreate some more of my songs. I'm just gonna say some random shit over them. That's what this felt like to me. Like, he didn't even try to sing. Like, I mean, the dude's done like operas and stuff. Like, he could still sing. Like, I just feel like this was the bare minimum.
And to be
The bare
fair,
minimum.
too, to be fair, he's actually been touring with this. and people have been walking out of the shows because the first part of the show, it's either the first or the second part of the show, he's playing this album. No, it's the second part. He's playing this version of the album. He's not doing the original. The first part is he's reading excerpts from his autobiography.
I've heard about that actually.
I'd be
And
down
he's
with that.
he's getting pissed responses, like, and he's like, well, why would you walk out of my, why would I walk out? Why would I walk in?
2 hours of you reading to me?
People are paying big dollars to Geddy Lee right now to read his autobiography.
But at least he's engaging. I mean, he's engaging. I mean, he'll throw the odd F word here now and again, but it's like he's not standing there saying, you need to be like this and you need to be doing what I'm doing. It's like, if I want to sit there and listen to you, Roger Waters, or whoever it is, talk about your autobiography, I'll get the audiobook and just stay home. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
don't
knew
know.
it. I'm sorry, Mr.
There's
Waters.
a lot of there's a lot of things I could say about the way he carries himself, but I don't think that I think as an artist, he's at a low point. I'm gonna put it that way. I think he needs to just like go reflect. I don't know.
I would agree because I think when he released Is This the Life We Really Want in 2017, that was a good album. That was a good album. To me, he was back. You know what I mean? Like, he was musically, he was back. This, I no, no, no. I'd rather go see Taylor Swift. Sorry.
Hey, be nice.
You know what? I was being nice. She's really hear what I was thinking. I think that, even again, let's go back here for a second. I got to hear the album cover. Okay.
Thought you're going to pull out a Taylor Swift album cover.
I like Taylor Swift.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. This is a Taylor Swift free zone. Here we go. All right.
Shake it off, Armando.
Guys, look at the album cover. I mean, like, please. You know what I mean? Like,
Did you see the art for any of the singles?
Like,
all of the singles kept the same theme. Like at least one of them was like a shot of the wolf's nose and its like upper lip, and
I mean, and
it's weird.
Again, look at the back. I mean, like, it's a fucking dog. Like, what is this shit? You know what I mean? It's like, like, does this mean our lives are going to the dogs? Like, I mean, like, like we're all doomed, kind of thing. Like, come on. I mean, please, like, it's anyways.
Especially with iconic artwork for the original album, it's kind of weird to take that approach.
Yeah. Like
I just
shitty CGI image of a dog. It's like, I don't know.
Anyways, okay.
It gives me a bad.
Listen, again, if I was to give this a grade, I would say I can't even grade it. Okay, I would give it an A for effort. I would give it a C- for execution.
I give it like an F for effort. I don't think he tried. Really? I really don't.
See, I was trying to be generous with the C-, but
I think it's an A for the idea, or no, maybe like a B for the idea, an F for effort, and like a C- for like execution.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But that's my opinion.
That's your opinion. Okay. Okay. Bill? This is the contradictory.
Are we grading, or is this just further commentary?
No, just well, for the album, like a effort or an execution, what do you think?
Um, I think he gave it all the effort he wanted to. And because goes back to what you're talking about, saying it was self-indulgent. It is self-indulgent. It's a Roger Waters album reflecting on Roger Waters' past work, whether it had other people involved or not. It's still, you know what? I'm Roger Waters. I can record this shit if I want to because it's, my lyrics. I can go ahead and just do this. And I don't have to be some super innovative person here with this. I can just take these songs and my 80-year-old self and simple instrumentation. I don't know. I don't really have a letter grade for the effort. I mean, I couldn't really tell you what. I could definitely see both sides of that, but it's judging, like I said, judging an 80-year-old. This guy has. I mean, I'm still 25 years away from that point, but I'm looking back 25 years ago. I'm a massively different person than I was then. I can only imagine if I'm lucky enough to live as long as Roger, how much more, well, for one thing, energy will be sapped out of me, and how much more I'll just be kind of calm and reflective. Not that Roger's always calm and reflective, obviously,
I don't think
but
you slowed down at all in that respect.
probably not. Not outside of this album, but then again, I've always been a big fan of Roger, and 90% of the time, at least, I tend to agree with his political rantings and ravings.
Okay.
So part of that may be one of the things I do like about him is it's like he's a part of my own echo chamber because our views are very similar in a lot of ways, with some exceptions. So
Okay.
it's nice sometimes to have that sort of thing reflected in lyrics. I get the same thing from Latter Day Rush, not so much the Ayn Rand era stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, man, that stuff's very important. It's important to feel like there's someone else there that's saying things that, oh yeah, I'm not alone. You get that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that for sure.
I get that too. I get that.
Yeah.
Neil, what do you think? What is your grade on it?
Hmm. As
Um,
far as the idea and I think the effort goes, I'd give it at least a B minus because I think I would probably be a lot more friendly if it wasn't for the fact that, like you said, he brought up the whole, well, it was my record. And then you give me that dog shit instrumental through most of it. It's not even necessarily that it was all bad. I think there were a bunch of good ideas with it. But when I go into it expecting not even necessarily certain renditions of the songs, but to hear hints of melodies at least, or like callbacks to the song, and I
yeah.
don't hear that musically, that's
Yeah.
frustrating,
Yeah.
especially when you say that you're the one that came up with all that. So as far as the actual execution goes, I don't think it was that great. I think it would have been much better if he took these ideas and just made something new and just kind of left this alone.
Yeah. And just to revisit a point, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I said what I said about what he said in the interview back in February was that on the previous show that Bill and I just did, we're talking about the Eagles and how Glenn Fry said in a documentary that when they got back together in '94, the Eagles for the Hell Freezes Over tour, that he went to his manager Irving Azoff and said that he and Don Henley, Glenn Fry and Don Henley should be getting more money than the rest of the Eagles. Because if it wasn't for them two, the name the Eagles, the band, wouldn't still be in the spotlight. It was because of his work and Don Henley's work as solo artists that they were still prevalent or that they still mattered in, you know, uh, in the public's opinion in 1994. Well, to me, ladies and gentlemen, that is unequivocal bullshit. Okay. It takes if you're in a band and all four or five or six, nine members, or if you're going to Earth, Wind, and Fire, all 9 members contribute to the making of an album. It is a band that does it, not just one person. So that is my Dr. Phil moment. I'm getting off my soapbox. That's it. But that's why I said what I had said. So yeah, this has been a really good discussion. You guys have any more to add or any more opinions or
I do think like
go ahead.
well, I did earlier. All right, so like I listened to it, and my opinion was a lot more negative, even originally, than what I ended up saying. Like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 10. I don't think it's completely awful, but not really a fan of it. I did look at some of what Roger had to say about it, and I can see where he was coming from with it. And I actually just pulled it up again. He said, Dave, Rick, Nick, and I were so young when we made the original, and when you look at the world around us, clearly the message hasn't stuck. That's why I started to consider what the wisdom of an 80-year-old could bring to a reimagined version. I get where he's coming from. He's not completely wrong with it. I mean, a lot of artists do go and like make changes to their art in the past or like in contemporary, and I think like I could see where he's coming from, and like I don't think that I mean I think that he wanted to like talk about he wanted to like update some of the political statements and stuff, and I think that Roger has some good points when it comes to politics and stuff. I don't agree with him on everything, but I do think he brings up some good points. Um, but I think that sometimes what he did wasn't as bad as what George Lucas did with Star Wars. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Man shot
Because
first.
yeah, because
What
with
was that,
George
Bill?
Lucas, Han shot first.
Okay, okay.
But because what George Lucas did was take away the originals, basically. He didn't want those to be seen again. Roger obviously isn't doing that.
Okay.
He has complete right to do what he did. Like, and I mean, he is an artist. He's innovative and stuff. It really doesn't matter who likes it and who doesn't like it. I don't really like it, but it doesn't matter. It's what he wanted to do. It's not changing what's already there. It's not like he's saying this is the definitive dark side. I mean, I think that in some ways he did say that the politicals he said he did not intend this to replace the dark side of the moon, rather intended as a tribute and a way to readdress the political statements from the record. He said the new recording is more reflective, I think, and it's more indicative of what the concept of the record was. So really it is just like a new interpretation, and that's cool. I do wish, just because I know like he still has somewhat of a voice, like I do wish he would have tried to use it a little bit more on here. I think that's my main gripe was a lot of the vocals and then the spoken word, but I think that I don't know. It's it's fine that he did it. It's not anybody's place except for him to make that decision. He's an artist. It's cool. I just don't really like it.
Okay. I got a quick question for you, Ryan.
Hmm.
It came across my Facebook feed that Dave Gilmour re-recorded "The Great Gig in the Sky" with Yoko Ono on vocals. I
When was
know how
this?
much of a fan of Yoko Ono you are.
When was this?
This was a few weeks ago. If I know how much of a, and I'm serious, guys. He's a fan of Yoko Ono. There is one. No, God, I'm sorry.
16th best-selling dance club musician in the U.S.
Oh, here we go. Okay, cool. Okay. My question to you, how do you think she would have fared on the Great Gig in the Sky instead of Claire Torrey?
I mean, if it's satire, like I doubt it was to be taken seriously. I highly doubt it. They're honestly probably making fun of Roger, which I'm down for, honestly, but I
Yeah.
think that's probably what they were doing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was meant to be serious. I mean, Yoko doesn't have the voice to actually sing that song. That's never, I don't think she'd ever claim to be one of the best vocalists of all time either.
It would be like
But
me.
she's an artist too.
Good.
It would be like me running over a cat with my chair. I'd be like, oh my God.
I mean,
Repeatedly, repeatedly, back and forth. Okay.
There's a
Okay.
lyric from Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, the title track. Did you understand the music, Yoko, or was it all in vain?
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay. Okay.
To
All
keep
right.
that full circle back on the Roger Waters there. See how I did that?
There you go. There you go. No, thank you for that,
It's
Bill.
professional stuff, folks.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Okay, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Our opinion on Dark Side of the Moon Redux or Redo, however you want to pronounce it. Um, Please put in the comments below, down there, what you think of the new Dark Side of the Moon. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think Roger Waters is on the money with what he was trying to do? Do you believe that maybe he's lost the plot himself with what he was trying to do? Do you think he was bang on with his comments earlier on in the year? Do you about the band? Please let us know what you think. And again, there are no right or wrong answers. It's just opinion. You have our opinion. So for Mr. Bill Schuster, his son Neal, for Ryan Gavalier, I am Armando Venditti. Thank you for joining us for this interesting and extended episode of the Music Den. We will see you soon with another video. Have a good night. Bye for now.